Hi everybody, this is Bert Kammerer.
And I'm Bobby Watts.
And thank you for watching episode number 2 of SmackTalk RC. We want to thank you for watching number 1. It was obviously a success. We're very appreciative. We really appreciate you supporting us. We're doing this for you, the viewers, so we're very glad that you guys are enjoying our episodes. Before we start talking about today's topic, there were a few questions that came up as a result of our first episode, and they have to do with engine tuning. A couple of things we missed, nothing too important, but things that we'd like to address really quickly before we move on. One of the first questions had to do with in-flight tuning systems. In other words, like the multi-golf system, the Carb Smart. What do you think about that?
Oh yeah. If you kind of grasp even a little bit of what we were talking about with the engine tuning, they're really not going to help you too much. I've found that there's more things in there to go wrong than to go right for you. If you seem to bake motors a lot, if you seem to run them a little too lean, then give it a try. But if your motors usually run pretty good, you're probably better without it. It just adds more complicated things to your system.
The other question had to do with whether, when you tune the engine, are you supposed to have the governor on or off? I've received that question a few times, and I keep forgetting to address it. I personally tune my engine with the governor turned on.
Yeah, I just leave it on all 100% of the time.
Yeah. And one more question was, what do you do after you're done flying your helicopter? Do you put anything on your engine when you stop your engine before you store it?
No, I've heard
to run oil.
No, I've heard so many different things. I've heard of people clamping off the fuel and running it out till it's dry. Usually I just leave it with fuel in there and everything, so I've never had a problem with that. But there's so many different views on that. That's just what we do.
So if you have any more questions, feel free again to go to www.smacktalkrc.com and post your questions there. There's a contact us link. But anyway, the first episode was a little bit, I guess you could say, boring. I think it had some useful information.
It was dense.
It was tense.
There's a lot of information there.
Yeah, so we're going to spice things up this time around, and we're going to do what we do. We're going to fly.
Okay.
And we've visited a lot of fun flights over the past few years, and we see a lot of pilots pretty much most of the pilots are at this sports flying level. Would you agree with me?
Yeah, sport to 3D level.
Loops, rolls,
tumbles, pirouettes,
flips,
and stuff.
TikToks. So what we're going to do here today is we're going to try to show you how to go from being a sport pilot to being a 3D maniac. So obviously there's not much we can show you in less than 45 minutes, but at least we'll give you an idea as to what we think are the main fundamental steps that will help you get there.
Exactly.
So I hope you enjoy this episode. We're going to go now to the intro, first part of our special guest interview. I hope you guys enjoy.
Thanks.
Okay, for today's episode we have a very interesting guest. This is a very good friend of mine. He actually travels all over the east part of the United States. So if you guys have ever been to a fun fly, I guess around the East Coast or maybe even the Southeast, you definitely know this guy. He goes by the nickname of Chicken Wing. And here he is, Mr. Ray Morey. How's it going, Ray?
Just wonderful.
Just wonderful. Why do they call you Chicken Wing? Where did that come from?
I think I got that last year from you, bitch.
Why? I mean, what do you think that come from? Are you sure it was me? I thought it was somebody else.
Might have been Earl.
Probably.
Why? Because I'm down here looking for a transplant.
Or for what?
Ta-da!
Well, I've heard that you're like a really, really good surfer. Like you like to surf and you can ride the waves. Is that true?
Could be.
And what does that have to do with the flipper thing? What's the flipper come from?
Long time ago, my shop teacher told me that I did good woodworking for working with one flipper. That's been since 6th grade. By a nickname since then. And everybody wants, this is a good one. Everybody wants to know why I don't paddle in circles. Now how in the fuck am I supposed to know that?
Let's move on. Let's move on from this surfing thing. Why, why do you like helicopters? Like, what do you like about helicopters? Why do you like to fly helicopters?
It's just a challenge.
Why?
Why not?
I mean, is there anything like that you enjoy? I mean, anything that you can come up with?
I just like flying them. I started probably a year before Mr. Big over there, and I was bound and determined to do it. It cost me a lot of money, but I finally got the hang of it.
What do you like? Do you like flying, or do you enjoy? Do you like
Spit it out, bitch.
do you like flying, or do you enjoy wrenching better? Which one?
I've wrenched enough to chuck a horse and throw 29 dogs. You gotta be shitting me. You think I do it for wrenching?
What is this? What is this stuff here? Orlando Fun Fly 2009. Who's in the picture there?
My little buddy.
Who is he?
That's Lips.
Lips? Why do they call him Lips?
I got a pass. Have you missed?
That's fine. That's perfect, dude. That'll be perfect.
Look at that. Look at that.
That's perfect.
All right, so one of the first steps that everybody needs to understand in becoming a 3D maniac, like this guy, is, and as much as, you know, we hate to say it, as much as you've been told, I'm sure, by everybody, and it just comes down to the fundamentals, the basics. And by basics, we mean, you know, forward flight, backwards flight, hovering right side up in your different orientations, hovering inverted and at least nose in or tail in. And, you know, you really have to grasp them before you can progress, you know, to a different level.
You do have to learn all these basics because they are essential to building the foundation to become a really good proficient 3D pilot.
Exactly.
You can see a lot of guys out there trying to do 3D, and it seems like they can't put things together.
Right.
They can't make their transitions. The flying seems like it's not flowing.
No.
And that's just because they never master their fundamentals, their basics. Again, learn backwards flying, invert it backwards, invert it forwards. Learn to control the helicopter while you do that. Not just at 100 feet high, going at full speed, kind of out of control, but learn to do it slow. Learn to do it in control. And then learn your inverted hovering, at least nose and tail in and right side up.
Yeah.
And then from there, go and try to learn to pirouette the helicopter in one spot.
Exactly.
One of the classic examples of how these basics help you progress into a more advanced maneuver is the piro flip. If you try to learn,
called the chaos?
Or the chaos. We'll get into that part later at maybe some other episode because they're really not the same.
It's a different day.
But when you're piro flipping, if you were to try to learn that without knowing how to hover proficiently upside down and right side up, for example, stationary pirouettes, you would have a really hard time learning.
It'd be tough. You just be tossing sticks.
Yeah, very tough. If you learn to pirouette upside down in one spot and you get very comfortable with that, and you do the same right side up and you get comfortable with that, that gives you, teaches you how to correct. So you learn to see the helicopter as it's turning, and before you know it, you're going to be able to give it inputs and start piro flipping without even knowing. It's just going to become a natural reaction for you if you learn those stationary pirouettes.
And that's just a maneuver that just builds on top of it. So you start from hovering to stationary pirouettes, and then you're into a piro flip. But that leads to other stuff. That can lead to a pirouetting funnel or something like that, or a pirouetting loop. It really just opens the door to all sorts of pirouetting maneuvers that you see.
Very true. Very true.
So yeah, like I said, the main emphasis is you really can't skip the basics. You can, you know, if you want to practice your basics a little bit, and then go up and just kind of stir the sticks and see what you can come up with, that's fine. But
yeah, if you're in the forward flight only and you're good at TikToks, go and do your TikToks or
there's nothing wrong with that. Nothing wrong with that.
And then take a tank or two every time you go to the field just to do your basics. Just don't forget about that.
Yeah, it's a good way. You know, one of my buddies back at home always stressed the basics. So no matter what I was doing, you know, at the end of the day or whatever, I'd slow it down to a 1700 head speed or something, and just fly. You know, low inverted, just kind of eye level, just kind of relaxing at the end of the day. But just realize that if you skip the basics, you will find, you know, you're gonna stall out at some point, and you're not gonna be able to progress, and it becomes quite frustrating.
Yeah, until you force yourself to go back and do the things that you thought you already had mastered them. So
Exactly.
Second most important thing about advancing in your flying from sports flying to 3D flying is to make sure that you have a good setup. Of course, we don't have enough time to go over a setup. We will probably do an episode that's dedicated to setups alone. But just to cover some real basics, first of all, make sure that your geometry on the helicopter is correct. Make sure that your servo wheels are at 90 degrees from the servo when you're at half stick. And on these Align models, 700, 600, you have these slots for alignment. So make sure your bell cranks are aligned perfectly too with the slot. And when you're at zero pitch, your swash should be perfectly straight. In this fiberless model right here, the geometry is less critical because you don't have all the fly bar and everything else that's up on the head, but the servo still applies. You want to make sure that's 90 degrees. You want to make sure your slot is right there. You want to make sure your swash plate is perfectly level. So that is very, very important to make sure that this model is going to fly the way you want it to fly. For example, on my 600 right here, same deal. You don't have the slots here, but you still can kind of eyeball this and make sure that it's perfectly 90. If this servo was 90 here and the other one was a couple degrees off, you're going to see a lot of this when you go up and down. Of course, it's not that exaggerated, but you're going to see that the swash plate is not perfectly level up and down. So you need to make sure that that's the case. And on this flybar machine, when your swash plate is level, you need to make sure that your mixing arms up here are at 90 degrees. You need to make sure that your washer arms are at 90 degrees and they're aligned with each other. So everything needs to be set up properly. For your pitch curve, the way I fly, and Bobby also flies like this, is we have a perfectly straight linear curve. So we don't even touch the transmitter. We leave it the way it is. And that way we make sure that our pitch is the same all the way down from the bottom to the top. So it doesn't matter if we're sticking around half stick, doing something very soft, or if we're pushing hard, the feel is linear. It feels the same way from top to bottom. Some people like an S curve, meaning you have a very shallow curve at extremes, and then it gets kind of steep around center. People that like to do a lot of, I guess, tight on the deck kind of stuff, a lot of those guys like that. For our type of flying, we try to show smack as well as big flying, slow, fast. We think that the linear curve is the best, but ultimately it's what feels good to you. There's really no right or wrong. So it's just ultimately your choice. Another thing you need to make sure that you have set up correctly is your gyro. Make sure your gyro is holding well. There's a myth, or there's people talking about the differences between setting up your tail at a certain degree angle when the gyro is in neutral. And Bobby and I do check the helicopter in a hover with the gyro in rate mode, so heading hold off. And we make sure that that tail is not drifting. We land the helicopter, we pull the ball link, we trim it, in and out, whatever, until we get that tail to stay put with the gyro in rate mode. And once we know that we have a mechanical sound set up, then we go ahead and turn heading hold on. We redo our limits on the tail, and we just go fly. Finally, head speed. Make sure your head speed is accurate. Make sure your governor's working. We discussed this in the previous episode. For a 90 size model, 1950 or so. For a 50 size model, 2150. That's where you're going to get the most amount of power. So we're going to go ahead and show you some maneuvers now.
Alright, so now I'm going to show you how some of the basics translate into my style. I feel like my style is kind of basic sometimes. I use some really simple figures and shapes and patterns, different maneuvers that I do in the air that are really pretty easy, and they just build off some of the fundamentals that we were talking about. So I'm going to go out and just show you some of the things that I would do in every flight and kind of break it down for you. We also here have our tranny cam so you can see my movements. So hope you enjoy. Alright, so now, like I said, we're just going to do some simple stuff. Just going to show you how some of these simple things can equate into some really cool 3D things. So first we'll just do some sort of a cool takeoff. This one's called a tail stand. We're just go back and shoot out negative. We're just going to do some back flips here. Front flips. Okay, now we can do some backwards rolls, 4-point. So that was 8, and I centered it. We'll come back the other way. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. Now we're going to some snaking pattern. Now the snake is a mix of backwards inverted flight as well as backwards right side up. I'm going to break it down for you just a second. This snake, you got some backwards, so just like this. You also have backwards inverted this way. Okay, you're just kind of arcing. Kind of like that. Right side up, inverted. Okay? So now with the same pattern, you can go into what we call a Mobius. It's like a backwards figure 8 where you cross in the center. So right here, we're right side up. Now we're inverted. With just a simple transition in the middle. Right side up, inverted. Now if you want to spice it up a little bit, you can toss something in the middle, like a pirouette. Come back around the other way, pirouette. So you can do something like that. Okay, now we'll go into a funnel. I feel like a funnel's pretty basic. In my case right here, left. Wind's pretty tough today, so I'm really fighting it into the wind. Coming this way, and I'm letting go here. Okay. Alright, so now I'll just go into some stationary flicks and stuff. Or we can do a roll first. Stationary roll. 1, 2, 3. So when you stop these, make sure you're at 90 degrees. Perfectly straight. You're just moving your collective a little bit, and you're popping your cyclic over and then coming right back to center. Okay, we can do the same thing, nose in for instance, with a flip. So this is the sort of thing to where, you know, if we get really hot and heavy on the deck, you can bring it back to something like this to just kind of smooth it up a little bit. You can also make it smooth, so we can do a stationary. Go forward. Do a stationary roll like this. You know, this is all just pretty basic stuff that you can do. So now we'll open it up a little bit. So here's just some very simple forward flight, and depending on your angle, you can make it look really cool. So we'll just come into a big circle here, and we'll take it into a big loop. Just do like a pirouette at the top and a knife edge or something. And then come back into just flying around. So this is all basic forward flight, turning in towards ourselves. So once you get into that, you can go inverted too. So right now I'm just going inverted flight. Forward flight, inverted. You can pretty much make any shape you sort of want to. For those of you who fly airplanes, you may recognize this. This will be a, I think it's a Cuban 8. Like this. Come back down. You can do any shape like this. So now I'll show you a hurricane. This is just an inverted circle forwards. As you can see, my sticks are kind of like they were in the funnel. They're pretty basic. So this is just like taking your inverted flying, putting it in a circle. Make sure you want to center it. So right here I'm really feeding it in. Right here I'm really backing off. Okay? So this is called your hurricane. We can also do it backwards. So we're going backwards hurricane. Just like that. Same thing, centering, altitude, and speed. Okay, so we have this. Let's see, what else can we do? So now, once you fly around for a bit, you may just want to slow it down. So we'll just do some inverted hovering, for instance. So this is my nose in, inverted hover. You should really try to get your nose in and your tail in pretty well solid. So that's my nose in, and this is the tail in. And you can even get your sideways and your other side. You should really be comfortable with all 4 aspects of your inverted hover. And likewise, you know, it's the same thing for right side. Your nose right. And your nose left. So you really want to master all of these. So for instance, I'll show you the pirouetting flip. So the pirouetting flip, we're just going to start with a stationary hover, or stationary pirouette, sorry. The easiest way to learn this is to get a constant pirouette rate going. If you want to, you can put a dual rate on your rudder so we can peg the stick. And you just want to correct every time the tail comes into you. So I correct now, now, now. This is the easiest way to start it. Now, every time the tail comes in, you make a correction. Now. Every time it's tailing or nosing. Now, and you get the drift. So eventually, it's one fluid motion. Your stick can make a steering pattern. So once you do this, you do the same thing upside down. Same sort of a pirouetting motion. Correct now, now. Now this will transition into a pirouetting flip. Just like this. And all a pirouetting flip is a transition between a right side up hover, right side up pirouette, and an inverted pirouette. That's all it is. So I can slow it down. I do my transition. Now it's right side up. Transition, inverted. So when you link it together, it forms a pirouetting flip. Now we can get it real fast and violent. So you can see that's all it is. And when you break it down, it's just a stationary pirouette thing. Let's see what else we can do. We'll do some stall turn sort of stuff. That's really fun. So even the sport guys out there, you do a stall turn, you go up, you do some stuff with your rudder, like a 4-point sort of deal. 4-point roll. Sort of stall turn again. Come sideways this time. You can really just kind of mix up your shapes. So we're about out, so we're going to do an auto. Let's do a basic auto right here. I hope some of these tips were helpful for you. Maybe you can use these in your 3D flying now.
Okay, for this segment I'm going to show you a few important things to keep in mind when you're flying 3D. And this is very interesting because a lot of people take these for granted, but we're going to talk a little bit about repetition, how important it is not to repeat what you're doing several times throughout the flight. We'll talk about taking the helicopter big, small. We'll talk about fast and slow. And then we're going to talk a little bit about placement and symmetry and altitude. So I hope you enjoy this segment. All right, let's see what we have here. I'm going to show you, first thing is not to get stuck repeating the same maneuver time and time again. I used to do the same transition, this transition right here, all the time, and I would repeat the same transition constantly. A trick right here is just to break out of the habit of repeating stuff. So what you do is you just do anything you're comfortable with. Don't be afraid to just forward fly. Just do forward flight, climb up, something as simple as just like a stall turn. You can do more forward flying. You can do a hurricane. But the key is just to keep your flying interesting by making changes. It doesn't matter. It doesn't have to be anything highly technical or difficult to do. Another thing is you need to keep in mind that you need to have some sort of symmetry in your flying. So if you're doing rainbows, center the rainbows right in front of yourself, just like this. If you get off center, if you go over there, then just push it a little harder and bring it back. And try to make it look like you're in control and you're doing it where you want to do it, not where the helicopter wants to be. The basics are critical to learn that kind of stuff. Without the basics, you will never be able to have that kind of control where you can keep the helicopter exactly where you want it. Next thing is to show some variety. So you speed it up and you just go as fast as you can. So I'm going to just like take it up high, go fast. Got to do some 4 hurricanes real fast. Climbing up there a little bit because of trees. Then you slow it down a little bit. You do some det work. Show that the helicopter can fly low. Show that the helicopter can fly high. Take it back up high again. Then you slow it down. So you do a nice inverted backwards pass from right to left. Very slow, showing control. So variety here, making sure people know that you can fly the helicopter fast, slow, high, low, basically showing the entire capabilities of the helicopter. So when it comes to altitude, show people that the stuff that you do low because you do well because you're in complete control of those maneuvers that you're doing low. So in other words, if you're not comfortable with a certain maneuver, don't try to do it very low. It just doesn't matter if you're at eye level, even higher, as long as it looks like that's what you're doing on purpose. And you're just not doing it without total confidence. So to recap, avoid repetition, do maneuvers at an altitude that you're comfortable with, where it shows that you're doing it at that altitude on purpose and not by mistake. And make sure that you're actually working on your symmetry the way you want it. So if you start like right here, you got to be centered. So I hope this helps with these tips. Thank you.
Okay, so now that we showed you some flying stuff, we're going to show you how these basics transform into some more advanced things that you can do in the autos. I'm just going to show you a little bit more things that you can do to spice up your auto rotations. You can do an inverted, rolls, flips, stuff like that. I mean, I've even done TikToks and pirouetting flips in an auto. So this is all stuff where you need to learn the basics, and then it transitions into some 3D stuff. So right now I'm just going to show you some things that you can do to spice up your auto rotations. All right, so now I'm going to show you some things that we can do in an auto rotation. Start my timer here. So first I'm just going to show you a regular auto. As you can see from the smoke, we got wind right to left, so we're going to be autoing from the left. Okay. So right here we're just going to do a basic auto. So we're going to hit the hold, we're going to come in forward, get the helicopter level to the ground, pirouette, and we're going to land it on the pad. So that's just a basic auto right there, okay? So now we're going to do some different things. So now I'll show you how to put it in a, get my head speed up here. I'm going to show you a flip. So we'll start inverted. This is the easiest way. So we'll start inverted, hit hold, let it come down, center stick, roll, negative. The most important thing in this is that when it's time to roll, you want to make sure that your collective is right here at center stick. If it's not at center stick, you're going to eat up a lot of head speed. Okay, so that was just a simple roll. I'll do that again. Do that one more time. Another thing you can do to build up head speed is to give yourself some negative. So here I'm going to give negative, now hit hold. So let it come, time to roll, center stick, roll, down. Okay. Now we're going to do a full roll in there. So here we're going to start right side up, go inverted, and then we're going to go back to right side up. So you want a little bit more altitude for here. So I'm going to hit the hold now. I'm going to roll it, center stick, roll it, and back down. Bring it in here. Okay? Now I'm going to show you a forward flip. Okay? So here we're just going to come in inverted again, and then I'll push forward with the elevator. I like rolling because it takes up a little bit less. So we're going to go here. Okay? Center stick, push, and we'll just do a pirouette so we can come out forward. Again, bring it back. Okay? Let's see what else we can do here. Okay, now I'll show you a pirouette in an auto. So here's our pirouette. You just want to give a little bit of negative right here. A little bit of negative, and with your right stick you're going to stir, just like you were in a stationary pirouette. Wind's pretty tough today, so we'll bring it back this way. Okay? I'll do one last one here. So this is once you really build up your courage. This is a inverted transition right on the deck. So we're going to hold it inverted for a while, and we're going to flip it out right on the deck. So to cheat, we're going to give a little bit of negative right here. So like this, bring it down center, roll, right on the deck, just like that. Okay, cool. So that's just a few sort of simple things that you can do in your autos to spice things up a little bit.
Okay guys, we're going to show you now some bonus maneuvers. I'm going to start by showing you some rainbows as well as some TikToks, also known as metronomes. Bobby is going to take off from there and show you some knife edge transitions as well as some walls. It's going to be interesting. I'm going to show you some bonus maneuvers here. Simple maneuvers, TikToks, also known as metronomes, and rainbows. We're going to start with rainbows. This maneuver requires quite a bit of collective management. And your basics, first thing to do is you need to be really comfortable with hovering at this angle, pretty much almost tail in, kind of like on the side, on your right side. And then hovering at this angle, right side up, kind of like with the tail towards you at an angle. So you practice this and you stop, and then you go over there to the left and you stop. So positive pitch, back elevator to a stop. You hover for a second, negative pitch, forward elevator, positive pitch again to a stop. Once you get comfortable with this, you stop it more violently. So you feet more negative here to stop it, negative to move it, positive to stop it, positive to move it. Once you become proficient with that, then you can get really aggressive on the deck with it. I have a pretty strong wind coming from my left, so it's a little difficult to stop it on the other side. Once you master that, then you can tighten it into metronomes. I almost buried it, but that's basically the concept there. This is very important that you guys are comfortable with your basics to do this, because these maneuvers need pretty good collective management, especially when you do them low to the deck like that. Another maneuver is the metronomes, TikToks, sideways TikToks. Same deal here. This is all a result of collective management. You lead with cyclic, and then you feed collective. You need a lot less collective than people think. A lot of people think that you need a lot of collective. You need a lot of cyclic, but not a lot of collective. Now, once you master this and you master your basics, and you can do this, and you have complete control of the helicopter, and you can walk the helicopter to the right, you can go up, you can go left, you can go down. You're basically doing a square or a rectangle. If I give it left aileron now, helicopter automatically walks back. If I give it right aileron and drop the nose, right tail and drop the nose, helicopter walks right. So again, your tail drives the helicopter. Same with these metronomes or TikToks here. Right tail, without doing anything special to the cyclic, helicopter's going to move right. Left tail, without doing anything to the cyclic, helicopter goes left. So that's it for metronomes, TikToks, and rainbows. I hope you found this useful.
All right, now we're going to give you some bonus maneuvers here. Like I said, these are some pretty flashy maneuvers that you can do that really gets built on the basics. The first one we're going to do is called the wall. It was actually an airplane maneuver. It can also be called the sudden stop. This is going to look really cool because the wind's blowing from the right. So we're going to come in completely hauling ass and give it a real quick collective pop and stop it. So we're going to go just like this and pop it. Just like that, where it stops real quick. I'll do a different variation. That was just where you yank back and stop it. Now we're going to do a nose down one. So you're going to come like this. Just like that, sort of stop, sort of deal. We'll do it one last time right on the deck. Now another thing you can do is when you stop it, you can go to full stick and slam it back. So we'll try this. Just like that, we slam it back to the ground. So that's the wall. The wall's pretty sweet. You can just, put that in any sort of transition. Next thing I'm going to show you is a knife edge drop. I think Kraus was the one who kind of came up with this, and it looks really, really cool. So we're gonna come from out the right, kind of out of nowhere. We're gonna start heading this way. Hold it on the side and let it fall. It's just falling just like this. Knife edge, knife edge, knife edge, really far away. And then you can pull out when you're not over the trees. So you can also hold a knife edge this way. Just hold it, center, and then you can pull out. Another knife edge transition I do a lot is in a loop. So just go forward loop, okay? We come this way, dig into the wind, hold it, then you come out of your loop, just like that. So that's a knife edge. Another one we'll do, knife edge, is in a hurricane. So we'll get my hurricane going here. Okay, now when I pop out, hold it, here, bam. And then you exit. So that was the knife edge. Last time across the field, hold it, hold center collective, and then you flatten out. So maybe you guys can use them and show a little bit of flashy stuff in your flying. Here, so we're back. This is part 2 of the interview with young Flipper here. Ray is a good friend of mine. I'd like to say he's helped me in this hobby ever since I got in it. And, you know, look at this guy. He's just a great guy. So, where we left off, you were laughing hysterically and almost passing out. Yeah, who's the guy on the shirt, you know?
It's Lips.
So why do they call him Lips?
Last year, Bert pointed out that when he flies, he moves his lips. I said, there ain't no way.
So what's he do?
So he told me to stand and go next to us. I did. Next thing you know, he's going like this. And I went up to him. I said, what the fuck are you eating? And it turns out that that's how he times his maneuvers. I went, you're fucked up.
So you made a shirt with lips.
Oh, yeah.
Can we see the back? Can we see the back?
I'm styling here now.
You're crazy. Didn't you make a big banner?
Shit.
Did you make a big banner for
Oh,
it?
yeah. Come fly with lips.
Oh my God. All right, so now we're back to the serious questions here. Okay, so you already established that you enjoy wrenching. You're good at it.
Yeah.
You're good at it. Why do you have so many parts?
What do you think? I just love wrenching so much. I actually hate waiting for shit. I'd rather have it sitting. If I take a dirt nap, it's getting fixed that night.
I saw you do a dirt nap last time I came down here, and
fun, wasn't it?
we fixed it the same day.
That's right. Why? I had all the parts.
Okay. And you sleep on top of your parts. Your parts are below your bed in the RV.
Right. Correct.
So make you feel all cuddly inside?
Oh yeah, they're all cuddly. They're warm. They're so warm. You dick. Got a problem?
No, that's great. Okay. This is a nice RV. Agreed?
Want to buy it?
I don't have that much money, boy. Can you please explain the importance of this RV to Beast and myself?
Because every time you come, the first thing you do is, I gotta take a shit! I gotta take a shit! Nothing else. No hi, no goodbye, just, see you, Ray, thanks! Ta-da! And Beast, all he comes is, got some chicken? I need some chicken. So between him chicken and you shitting, I'm set. Only one thing.
I'm not going to argue that. Give me a second. Okay.
Bring toilet paper next time, please.
I'm going to have to. So, do you wish us luck in our SmackTalk endeavor?
Oh, yeah, you're definitely going to do good.
Yeah, you think so?
You got plenty of smack. You want to smack this?
You got smack.
Oh, yeah, I got smack in the ass.
Okay, that's good. All right, so with the wing and stuff, would you be willing to wear our tranny cam tomorrow while you fly?
Yeah, sure.
So we can see the wing in action.
Maybe we could probably go to the hospital, and we could take Bert with us, and we could take his arm off, transplant it on me, and I can do all kinds of shit.
Are you sure?
Yeah, that's a good idea. What do you think? Think we can get him to do it?
I don't think it's good.
We can call him Chicken Wing, too.
I mean, with the geometry of the wing, you can probably pull off some quick cyclic maneuvers.
Yeah, I got some cyclic maneuvers, all right.
Okay. So can you do crack maneuvers with that?
No.
Have you tried?
The little stuff don't move that fast. It has no length. It's got like shortness. And you know what? I got no fucking thumb.
Yeah, it's right there.
There ain't no fucking thumb. The fucking, I don't know what it is. It's just there.
Fair enough, fair enough. All right, so now back to a serious question. What do you think the future of RC helicopters holds?
Fly barless is going to be the next big thing.
Yeah?
It's
It's kind of big right now, you think?
Yeah, I can't be as big as Big Bert and you. You know, I'm a little chubby guy.
But how about electrics, nitros?
I think it's probably going to go more electric, but I like the nitro better than electric.
Why is that?
Don't like fucking with the batteries.
All you gotta do is just charge it.
I got a charger. Yeah, you want to buy it?
No, I'm gonna buy it. All right. It's been a good interview. Any closing thoughts? Anything you'd like to share with the viewers here, or anything like that?
Stay tuned for episode number 2, 3, 4, 5. Make it 10.
Would you be interested in having your own segment as a part of SmackTalk?
It's up to you guys.
We're gonna have to rate it like R.
I don't give a fuck.
Obviously not. Hey, just throw out as many cuss words as you can.
You'll be here all night.
Just go give us a taste.
Fuck off.
Thank you, Ray.
See you, dickhead.
I'm done.
Thank you very much for watching this episode of SmackTalk RC. I hope you found these tips useful. We have t-shirts now. Go ahead and turn around and show your t-shirt.
Badass.
People are asking when they can get these t-shirts.
We've already found a way to sell these to get them out to everybody as quickly as possible because we realized very quickly that there's no way we can do it. So just hang in there. We'll let you know when they're
Hang in there. We'll make an announcement on our website and let people know when they can get them.
Yeah, there's going to be some cool stuff coming, I think.
Yeah.
That's
We're going to try to keep this very entertaining. So,
I hope so.
Again, thanks for watching, guys. See you next time. You can't order it on your phone. You can't? No. Well, you probably can. So you're going
to talk about setup?
Yeah, quick setup tips by Bert. 5 minutes long, supposedly. Nah. Oh, shit. I don't know what I'm going to say. Just go over setup, basics of setup. Yeah.
So we have our nice tail boom mic thing. It's nice. This is Russ.
Tail boom from what?
It's Gowie. EP Monster Club.
Oh, okay.
So Russ, what does the phrase smack talk mean to you?
Smack talk? I don't know.
I'm bad at it. We have our interviewee, Ray. What's up, Ray?
Same old shit, different day.
Did you enjoy doing the interview?
Oh, I had a good time. You guys just love busting my balls.
Did you say everything you wanted to? Did you get it all out?
Oh, no, not yet. Not even half.
So we have to bring you back later?
Oh, yeah, you guys are dead.
Why? You're not gonna do it. You're not gonna do anything.
Done!
So, Mr. Fritz, what does smack talk mean to you?
Smack talk? I have no idea.
Seems to be a common answer today. Hey, convince everyone to watch episode 2.
Boy, what a surprise they got coming. It's good.
You're not gonna threaten them?
No. I'll be nice.
Here, look at the camera and try to convince people to watch it.
Episode 2 is better than episode 1.
Why?
You'll have to tune in and find out, bitch.